Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
If you saw something and you know the vehicle, pick up the phone and call, please. That's all I'm asking.
A desperate plea. She is speaking directly to the driver who hit and killed her sister or any witnesses who then saw this car speed away. Tonight, the suspect in the vehicle police are looking for. But first, we begin with another inmate death at the Bexar County Jail tonight. 48-year-old Robert Parker died at the hospital this afternoon. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office says the cause and manner of Parker's death still being investigated. Records show Parker jailed on charges of assaulting a public servant and retaliating. His death, the latest in a troubling trend. According to KSAT's count, Parker, the fifth Bexar County Jail inmate that has died since January 1st. We expect to learn more about this latest death in the coming days.
It's terrible. It's tragic. It's not okay. And yet this is just part of what we do. We have these protocols in place because we know things like this are going to happen.
It is not okay. Tonight, we are still working to learn more about the person who police say made threats toward the Jewish community in San Antonio. We know that person was arrested out of state by the FBI and they were suspected of planning a mass shooting. Law enforcement believes the immediate threat is over at this hour. San Antonio Police Chief William McManus saying, quote, the arrest was based on statements the individual made while being questioned by authorities, end quote. Before that arrest was made, though, FBI agents told Temple Bethel Executive Director Eric Reinecker that someone had made a mass shooting threat against San Antonio's Barshop Jewish Community Center, but also the Jewish community entirely. The JCC immediately sent an email to parents and shut its doors for the day. Both the JCC and Temple Bethel will be back open tomorrow.
Gathering as a community is the core function of who we are, and we're not going to let things like today stop us.
In a statement, San Antonio Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones said in part, quote, we will continue to monitor this situation closely. Anti-Semitism has no place in San Antonio, and we'll take all necessary steps to ensure the safety and security of our Jewish neighbors, end quote. This is, of course, a story we're going to continue to be staying on top of in the coming days. And as we learn that suspect's name, of course, we'll let you know any updates. New on the Nightbeat, we've learned the name of a teenager killed in a car crash early Sunday morning. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office says 15-year-old Jordan Garcia died of head injuries. San Antonio police say the crash happened on Hebner Road after people in a car were taunting police officers and actually pointing guns at them. Police began pursuing that car. That led up to the crash. Garcia died at the scene. At least 3 others taken to the hospital in critical condition. Hit and killed while crossing the street. That's what happened to 62-year-old Irma De Leon on Fredericksburg Road. As the night team's Avery Everett shows us, her family is fighting for answers tonight as Balcones Heights police track down the driver who sped away from her at the scene.
This was on her at the time, her watch. I'll never let go of it.
Martha Trevino is holding on to what's left of her older sister.
I had to identify her, and it was gruesome. I just want justice. I want the person to come back.
Irma De Leon died last Friday in a hit and run. She was 62 years old. Balcones Heights police tell us she was crossing this part of Fredericksburg Road near the Wonderland of America's Mall when someone crashed into her and then sped off.
Why? What was the hurry? Where were you going? You wouldn't want this to happen to your family and nobody come forward.
A detective with the Balcones Heights Police Department sent us these 2 photos showing the suspect vehicle. Police have determined the silver sedan is an Acura TLX between the years of 2015 and 2017. We're told it doesn't look like this car has a front license plate, and police say they believe there is damage to the right front of the vehicle.
I can't believe this happened to her. And the question is why?
Her family is fighting for answers as they grieve the loss of their own.
She loved a lot of people, and a lot of people loved her.
How do you want your sister to be remembered?
A very good person, outgoing, caring.
A sudden goodbye this family is having to say as Balcones Heights police push for answers. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
Let's hope they get some of those answers. Well, a driver is dead tonight after a nasty car crash this afternoon. It happened just after 1 o'clock, on Southeast Loop 410 near East Houston Street. That's where San Antonio police say the man was speeding down 410 when he crossed over the main lanes of the freeway and onto the access road. That's where the trouble started. He smashed into a dumpster. The collision caused the car to roll over. He was thrown from that vehicle. He died at the scene. I want to take you to some breaking news right now, and this isn't all that unusual, but the backup is. This is 1604 at Northwest Military Drive as you head towards I-10. I believe that's the way we're looking. No, the opposite way. We're actually heading east on 1604. And you can see they just have been shutting down different parts of at 1604 at different times of night. You see it's shut down in both directions here. Again, this is Loop 1604 at Northwest Military Highway.
This week, we're taking time to reach out to the victim's family to express our support during this difficult time.
While our city and state entities have launched an investigation into the cause of the flooding, this profound tragedy is a demonstration why a commitment to equitable investment in our community matters.
San Antonio City Council members Mark White and Jalen McKee Rodriguez offering their condolences tonight, 1 week after 13 people were killed in one of the city's worst flooding tragedies. And even after 1 week, we still have so many questions, like what exactly caused that wall of water that witnesses have described, especially at Beidle Creek, as well as other parts of our city. Today, we went back to Beidle Creek and found there is still so much that needs to be done there. In the aftermath, downed trees and crushed cars, and today, piles of concrete and rebar remain stacked high along the drainage area, especially this drainage ditch along Vicar Drive next to Perrin Beidle towards Austin Highway. Those who frequent the area still in shock of the sheer power of the floodwaters.
It's taken out the bridge, but not the retainer wall on the side of the drainage. Yeah. It didn't wash out all that before.
I mean, I've been riding out here for about 10 years now, and I mean, some of it is just unrecognizable.
Because we were just trying to figure out how the heck it happened.
City officials say they're reviewing the flooding events along Beidle Creek as well as Leon Creek on the other side of town. That review will include an independent engineering analysis. So many questions about what happened, but we do know we've got big time rain. So let's see what it was like with the abundance of rain compared to when we had very little rain, Adam.
Yeah, and we don't like the implications of flash flooding and, even large hail and damaging winds that can come with our storms, but it sure has greened us up, I'll give you that. And look at this comparison. June 18th, obviously yesterday when we had good satellite imagery over the area, compared to June 18th of 2022. I'm going to move the slider here. Look how brown, crusty it was in June of 2022. We had under 5 inches of rainfall year to date at that time. This year we've had nearly 19 inches. And look at the stark contrast there. Just emerald green, June of 2025, and crusty brown. And I want to go down to in 2024, and I want to go down to... You're really... Yeah, I'm not sugarcoating it.
Painting a picture for us, yeah.
Not sugarcoating it. And look at the drainage into the back bays of the Gulf here. San Antonio Bay, Matagorda Bay, Corpus Christi Bay. Look how brown with all the runoff. And by the way, that can actually be beneficial for fishing once that clears out a little bit to all you fellow fishermen out there. Rain chances going forward, isolated, very slight, 10 to 20% the next several days, kind of like what we had earlier today. I'll have a little recap of that. And the new drought monitor is in. I'm going to explain why we don't have huge changes in just a bit.
She loved animals. She loved animals, But she's a former nurse. She was a nurse for many, many years. And just a founding mother of the neighborhood. I mean, she was just over here the other day, bless her heart.
They say she had a big heart. Neighbors reflecting on the woman who sadly lost her life in an early morning house fire. Tonight, we've learned 78-year-old Ellen Musgrave is the name of the woman who died in that fire. It all happened about 3:30 this morning at her home on South Hill Road near Babcock in the Hillcrest community on the northwest side. Crews say it took about 20 minutes to knock down the flames to actually get inside the home. That's when they found Musgrave after she had passed. We also know one of her pets died in that fire. 2 others are in ACS care right now. At this hour, we still don't know exactly what sparked this fire. Also, SeaWorld San Antonio mourning the loss of one of its beloved animals tonight. Kamea, the orca whale, sadly passed away at just 8 years old. She was the youngest in her pod. SeaWorld says she brought joy to millions of people. In a post on social media, SeaWorld said in part, quote, despite the tireless efforts of animal care and veterinary teams, Kamea succumbed to an illness, surrounded by those who loved and cared for her deeply, end quote. This Juneteenth marks 160 years since the last slaves learned they were free at Galveston, Texas. The night team's Zaria Oates shares how Bexar County celebrated the holiday tonight.
Lift every voice and sing.
Juneteenth is a day of remembering.
There's nobody bound. You are free.
Remembering the last slaves who were freed from Galveston 2.5 years after all other slaves were freed.
Let's praise God for our freedom.
Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, is also a time to reflect on the progress of Black people in America since those last slaves were freed.
We've come a long, long way. Our grandmothers, grandfathers, our mothers, fathers, they paved the way for us to be where we are today.
We weren't asked to be brought over here, but yet we are. And in that, you know, we have accomplished a lot.
Hundreds came together at True Vision Church in Kirby to celebrate. Have food, and spend time with the community.
Celebrating our freedom is something that we want to do, that we deserve to do.
I realize I'm only 5 generations away from being a slave, so this means a lot to me.
Their hope for the future is that Juneteenth celebrations continue to get bigger and have a greater appreciation from the community and the generations to come.
We still need to allow our children to and explain to them that we need to understand where we come from.
Honestly, I just hope that we keep on the tradition of teaching what Black history is, not subjecting us to just 1 month and realizing that it's a year-long celebration. Doesn't have to be specific to February, doesn't have to be specific to Juneteenth. Just kind of, keep our history alive.
Zaria Oates, KSAT 12 News.
And while today is the Juneteenth holiday, the celebrations continue into the weekend. There'll be a free family-friendly block party this Saturday from 3 to 9 p.m. at Crockett Park. A lot more going on this weekend as well. You can scan the QR code on your screen for a list of the remaining Juneteenth events. It is an entrepreneurial success story, partly with salsa. Next on the Nightbeat, we're going to introduce you to a local couple who took their salsa from the Pearl Brewery Farmers Market to H-E-B store shelves. And what started out as a side hustle in one man's kitchen can now be found across the country. Marcia and Luis Morales own Humble House Foods. They started selling products in 2008, then grew from the farmers market at the Pearl. Now they have their own manufacturing facility in San Antonio. Their product can be found in 285 H-E-B stores and more than 400 Walmarts. They credit their success to the San Antonio community for supporting them all those years when they were at the Pearl Farmers Market.
We shook hands and talked to every kind of person from every country, every nationality, every language. We got to know people in general.
They both grew up in San Antonio. They hope to inspire other locals who have this side hustle. They say San Antonio is a place where you can thrive. It was also interesting listening to their interview. Luis said San Antonio is a great place to have a food business. He also said...
Yeah, what did he also say?
There's 2 things every San Antonian loves. That's food and the party.
Yep.
And he is right on all those things.
Yeah, that caught my attention. I was like, that's right, my man. That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Let's take a look outside, and we're not getting the triple-digit heat. As a matter of fact, we're not even getting the heat they're getting up north, especially in the coming days, Adam.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The typically cooler climates will have record challenging warmth that's going to be hotter than us. I mean, we're talking along the Canadian border. We're going to get to that in a moment. The new drought monitor is in. Let's start with the previous drought monitor. And you see I outlined in white the exceptional drought area in the middle. That's the worst drought category you can be in. I outlined it.
Kind of looks like a bobcat.
It does look like a bobcat. At first I thought it was kind of a foam finger, but you're right. It's more of a bobcat is what it looks like. I mean, I guess it's not far from San Marcos.
Yeah. maybe that's why. Maybe.
Anyway, okay, so here we go. Now, look at the difference, 3, 2, 1, boom. Not much of a change here from within the exceptional drought area, just minor changes. Going back one more time, previous drought monitor, current drought monitor. A significant change from Austin to San Marcos to New Braunfels and Seguin, down a category into the severe drought, but at least an improvement there. So no significant changes. Shelby Ibrachowski reached out to some folks today who help analyze this and draw the drought monitor. And the reasons are the groundwater is still way too low. Aquifers are low. Spring flow is low. Lakes, reservoirs are very low. For example, let's look at the spring flow. Comal Springs, right there, New Braunfels, 160 cubic feet per second. That is 121 cubic feet per second below average. San Marcos Springs, 93 below average. Look at the aquifers. Of course, what we report on every day. San Antonio, J17 well, 22.6 feet below average. Uvalde, the J27 well, 42 feet below average for this time of year. And we all know how low the lake's reservoirs are. Canyon Lake now 47% full. And that's about 37 feet below Conservation Pool, I believe. Anyway, we had a few streaky showers today, shown in blue. And earlier this morning, we had just a couple of them following each other that dropped up to about 1/1500ths of an inch from just east of Lackland, from Burbank High School northward to Jefferson High School, just there on the west side. So nothing significant, but that's that 10 to 20% chance we've been talking about, and we'll likely see more of that daily. The upper level high, the big blue H, that heat high that can press down on us and did so in early May. Let's not forget, we already have 3 triple-digit days under our belt, and they came early this year. But that's not the case right now. The heat high's moving eastward, and the overall weather pattern is going to be a little unique, you may think, for this time of year. Big trough in the western U.S. that pulls the cooler air southward, and then the big ridge and heat high in the eastern U.S. In turn, the desert southwest, Arizona and New Mexico, likely to see below average temperatures in the days ahead. Meanwhile, underneath the upper level high, above average. Here in Texas, we're kind of just in the middle. But what this means in terms of actual temperatures out there, let's talk about Sunday alone. 94 here in San Antonio, 100 in Omaha, Nebraska, 96 in Minneapolis and Chicago, Detroit 98, Washington, D.C. 98, all warmer than San Antonio and Abilene, and even warmer than El Paso in some instances. So we're cruising right near average. Our average high is 93. We're basically going to be a degree or two within that in the days ahead. 76 at sunrise tomorrow, with the low clouds just around sunrise, and yeah, maybe a brief streaky shower here and there, but no lightning with it. 88 at noon, 93 by 4 o'clock for the high temperature, and a noticeable southeasterly wind, steady at 15, some slightly higher gusts. Generally low 90s tomorrow, some upper 90s as you get closer to the Rio Grande, typically hotter spots. Del Rio 99, Carrizo Springs, a high temperature of 97. And there are those isolated rain chances, 10 to 20% for the most part. We may have a little extra energy in the air middle of next week, so possibly 30%, but this wouldn't be anything flooding and nothing to really put a dent in the drought.
Yeah. We could still use the rain. It'd be nice.
We could.
All right. Thanks, Adam. All right. So we've been talking a lot about the NBA draft, and it's important. But there's a local kid who has Major League Baseball dreams.
Kason Cunningham from Johnson High School is one of the top prospects in all of the United States. And recently he just showed out at the MLB Draft Combine, where the commentators there and their former baseball players in the big said he's the best hitter in the draft. And Steph Curry really digs Dylan Harper, the player the Spurs will reportedly draft next week. We got it coming up. With the second overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs are expected to select Rutgers guard Dylan Harper. Dylan is a lefty combo guard who's already being billed as a James Harden-esque driver. NBA superstar Steph Curry praised both Harper and his Rutgers teammate Ace Bailey during the season, and his comments have resurfaced due to the NBA draft being next week.
Obviously, they're super talented, but talent can only take you so far. Like, what's your mentality about how much better can you get? How hard do you work? Are you coachable? Like, stuff like that. And they showed that. Dylan was funny because I think he guarded me in a couple the pickup runs we had. I might not have scored on him, and I think he was mic'd up for something, and I think he knew he was counting my stats, a little matchup. But like, you love that competitiveness because they're there to get better.
Game 6 NBA Finals was dominated by the Pacers tonight, 108-91. Tyrese Halliburton had 14 points on a bad calf. Decisive Game 7 is Sunday night at OKC. On this day, 20 years ago, the Spurs beat the Pistons in Game 5 of the NBA Finals on the road, 96-95 in overtime, taking a 3-2 series lead en route to their third NBA championship. Game 5 was the tightest one of the series, and the Spurs came out on top, thanks in part to Robert Horry, who nailed a 3 in OT, giving the Spurs the lead for good. Devin Brown, a member of that championship team, stopped by KSAT 12 to talk about that series and Big Shot Rob.
The 3, but don't forget the left-handed dunk down the lane. That's what stands out in my mind, because I think Rob was 47 at the time. But no, he that's what the Spurs had brought him in for, and stepped up, and that's what Big Shot Rob did at that time.
Do you remember what you were thinking at that moment when that 3 went through?
Yeah, I almost jumped over the bench because, it's just a lot of excitement because it was, we were getting a lot from the Detroit fans. And, just to be able, to have, our guys step up and make the plays that they did was big for us.
So they win Game 6, comes back here, San Antonio, you guys win Game 7. Walk me through those moments when the clock hit 0 and you guys were champs.
Man, I'll tell you what, they Detroit battled Game 6, a heck of a performance by them, their players and coaching staff. And Game 7, when the horn went off and we're celebrating, one of the things that sticks out in my mind was trying to control my dad. Because he was all over the place, and he was out there with all of Tony's French Connection people, and I said, Dad, we're over here. And but as far as the rest of it goes, what a exciting time to be a local kid, to be a part of a championship like that. Meant a lot for the city, meant a lot for me, and it was just a very exciting time.
Former Johnson High School baseball player Kason Cunningham got to show out at the Major League Baseball Draft Combine this week at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. Kason, who hit .509 his senior season, is rated as the 11th overall high school prospect by MLB Pipeline in the 2025 draft class.
Were you shocked if you didn't get a hit?
I mean, I wouldn't say shocked because that's just a part of the game, but my goal going into the year was to hit above 500. I wrote it down.
To go out there and hit over 500 against these guys, how did you do that?
I mean, that's the biggest part of my game is my hit tool. I hit 460 as a freshman, 400 as a sophomore, and I hit 450 as a junior. So going into my senior, I was like, all right, I want to hit above 500 this year. So.
He is a beast. The Rangers suffered a first in 20-plus seasons after the break. Kansas City and Texas closed out their 3-game series in Arlington this afternoon. Top of the first inning, Vinny Pasquantino hits a 2-run homer to right field for the Royals as they strike first, 2-0. Now, Royals top prospect Jack Caglianone went deep twice for his first 2 homers of the season, both solo shots. The Rangers were no hit for 5 1/3 of an inning. Add it all up, and the Royals win 4-1 for their first 3-game sweep at Texas since 2003. In CONCACAF Gold Cup soccer, the U.S. beat Saudi Arabia 1-0, and Mexico won last night 2-0 versus Suriname, both sides advancing to the Gold Cup quarters.
Exciting times.
Yep.
Thanks, Larry. We'll be right back.